Hi everybody, this is Agnes from No Sediment, and today we will talk about terms and vocabulary you should know when describing wine. If you haven't watched my previous video, make sure to do so before continuing with this, as I talk there how to describe general elements of wine such as acidity, body, tannins, aroma, and aftertaste. For example, you will learn that tannins can be described as silky, grainy, stalky, or even harsh. Be sure to check it out, I will link it up here somewhere. But today let's dig into specific terms you can find when reading wine magazines or listening wine professionals talk. It will also help you to improve your wine vocabulary, so let's start. Balance is something people talk a lot when describing wine. It can be referred as wine having great balance or lacking it. Simply speaking, it means that there is not a single or several elements overpowering other elements in wine. For example, too much alcohol can overpower the fruity flavors in wine, or there could be lack of weight on the palate to balance out high levels of tannins. Butter-like characters are highly associated with white wines, especially grape Chardonnay. While some enjoy this flavor, which can also manifest itself on the palate with richer and rounder texture, others believe that too much buttery flavors in wine is actually a fault. Buttery characters are usually associated with malolactic fermentation, which is when bacteria transfers malic acid into rounder tasting lactic acid. Which is why grapes and wine styles that do not go through this process, which is malolactic fermentation, will almost never show buttery flavors. For example, Riesling. Closed wine is wine that is shy on the nose and is not revealing much, even though it is expected to. In some cases, aeration might help to open up these flavors, but sometimes wine is just at that development stage where it might not open at all or reach that expected potential. Some people call corked wine any wine that they consider faulty. Actually, it is a specific wine fault that manifests itself by overpowering the fruity flavors of wine with musty, damp, and even wet cardboard aromas. It is caused by trichloroanisole, or in short, TCA. Most often, it is associated with wines corked under natural cork, but it can also be tainted in the winery and there might be no correlation with the closure. Such wine should be exchanged for a new bottle with no additional charge. Corked wine is not the only fault and reason to send the wine back. I made a video on different wine faults. I will link it in the description if you are interested in that. Dry wine. Even though this seems very easy, it often creates a lot of confusion. Tannins create this drying, mouth-coating sensation. However, when we are describing wine as dry, we are not talking about tannins. It actually refers to the residual sugar in wine, which most of the time is expected to be below 4 grams per liter for wine to be dry. Earthy most of the time refers to aroma or flavors that are not fruity. For example, forest floor, autumn leaves, and mushroom-like characters. These flavors can be sourced from maturation in oak, in my opinion, usually in old oak barrels, or during the cellaring of the wine. Green flavors in wine can be linked with a lot of elements. First of all, we can feel green notes on the nose. They can be good and point you to the specific wine style or grape variety. For example, herbaceous notes such as nettle or basil leaf in Sauvignon Blanc, or minty or eucalyptus characters in Syrah. But these flavors can also suggest unripeness and be unpleasant, such as overly vegetal, expressive green bell pepper notes in some Cabernet Sauvignon. On the palate, however, tannins can also be described as green, suggesting that they are unripe, stalky, or even aggressive. If any of you have great definition for wine term minerality, Please let me know. I still love this caricature done by Decanter magazine, where wine connoisseur, instead of looking for true meaning of life, is looking for true meaning of minerality in wine. Therefore, I can only comment on what I associate with this term, which is kind of the opposite of highly fruity wines, yet still retaining very fresh, lively and brisk character, possibly showing slight salinity and wet stone nuances. Some link minerality in wine with chalky character, kind of like licking wet stone. Oaky refers to a wine that has been fermented, matured, or in other contact with oak. Depending on the oak origin, level of toastiness and winemaking choices, oak in wine can be very expressive or quite delicate. New oak barrels are known to add flavors such as sweet toast, smoke, and even vanilla. Old or used oak is also an option to a winemaker, and in my opinion adds to the wine savory, earthy, and mushroomy notes, and possibly some oxidation of the fruit. Oxidized is an interesting term that can have both negative and positive aspect to it. In wines such as Oloroso Jerez and Tawny Port, we expect oxidation and even praise it, described as toasted nuts, walnuts, chocolate, caramel, dried figs, and even notes of balsamic. However, in wines such as Regional Chablis and Marlborough Wally Sauvignon Blanc, oxidation can be seen as fault. It means that clean, fresh, and oftentimes bright fruit flavors are lost and replaced with oxidated fruits, bruised apple, and savory characters. Wine can even start to smell of nail polish removal and volatile acidity. I feel that there are still many important wine terms that I have not discussed here, and I will need to make another video in near future. Please let me know in the comments below which terms I have missed and should look into. Most of the time we describe wine in company with other people. One of my early videos I talked about wine tasting etiquette. You might want to check it out as well.